As you might have guessed, this is about a Grizzly gunsmithing lathe, G0750G. And I'm going to start by saying I'm not a machinist, and I'm not even qualified to teach you how to operate this lathe. So you'll have to look elsewhere for that and do a lot of research if you're new. But what I am going to do is give you some run-out readings of the spindle and of the outside diameter of the chuck, and just give you some things that I've experienced with it, what little use I've given it. I'm going to show you, how easy or not easy it is to change some of the gears in certain situations, and just a quick overview of this G0750G Grizzly gunsmithing lathe. Alright, so it sounds like I have some hissing with this wireless microphone. I made it in a previous video to work on an iPhone, but so just kind of bear with the hissing. If it gets too bad, I'm just going to disconnect it. I just hate talking at a distance without a wireless mic, and I think most people do too that listen to the video. But what we have here is the run-out gauge is just touching the face of the chuck right here. And I'm just going to turn it by hand. It's in one of the higher gears, so that'll make that a little bit easier for me. And then I'm just grabbing it by one of the jaws. And let me zoom in here, and I'll show you what we have. So if you look, let me see if I can get this on a line right there. Okay, right now it's set at the 2000th mark on the gauge, which call that 0 for this test. I could try to turn the dial, but it's sensitive and it would be hard to get it actually on 0. That's what this thing is for right here. But again, not simple. So as we look, okay, so I'm going to just turn this by hand and we'll just check the run out. It looks like that might be close to 4/10,000ths of an inch, and then there's a jump right here, probably maybe a swell on the outside of the chuck. Right there it jumps to, looks like 9/10,000ths of an inch. And it didn't really actually go back to the line then. So we can call the run out on this chuck 8/10,000ths of an inch. And I'm using this just kind of cheaper Grizzly run out gauge. I wish I had a better one, but that's down the road. Okay, so without getting into spindle speeds and the actual numbers on the lathe, I just wanted to show you what you kind of have to go through to change the speeds. This, your carriage and your cross feeds right here, and then of course this is just your spindle speeds. There's 9. 3 times 3 is 9 on this lathe. But a lot of times getting into some of the gears is not difficult. You just have to kind of find the gears the way they mesh. I don't have to force it really. I just have to find it. And I tried to set the camera up in an angle that you would look at if you're looking straight on. And if you notice how the arrow points to kind of the top edge of this kind of threw me because I thought it should be in the middle of each one, and that's not necessarily the case. And sorry if it sounds a little weird. I had to abandon my wireless microphone because the phone was going dead. Sometimes the best laid plans. But anyway, so like if I can get my hand out of the way, there's C, and that's right at the top edge of the C. And it's wonky because there's B. You can tell I'm in B1. That is that's the lowest gear. That's 70 RPMs. But it almost points towards C. And I actually jumped out of gear once because I didn't have it properly secure. But now that I know, see there it's out, back into C1. Okay, there's A1 and B1. So let's go to A3. A2 just went right in, but obviously that was just because it was ready to mesh without turning the chuck. Okay, I had to turn the chuck then to go to B3. But anyway, that's that's all lathes that I've seen on YouTube videos are that way. And it's not a big issue. It's just kind of odd that they don't have the labels, separated or even off-centered to match the arrow. So I guess that could be something that could be adjusted if a guy wanted to take the plate off, but they're not in the same location in all locations. That's actually pointing a little bit more toward the A than the line, like the C points directly toward the top of the line. All right, as for the feed rates, this would be what you would use to set threading. And like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs of this. I just know how to set it for a specific thread, and that's all labeled right here. And on this side over here, I'll show you these images. But you can get where you activate your threading dial over here, and this tells you what gear. This has the end gears that you change. So it tells you, let's just say, for instance, I wanted to thread 18 threads per inch. Then I have to use A gear, which is at the top. I have to use a 60, and B gear is 54. No, it's 50. Yeah, 54. So the middle gear is 122. But my hand was probably in the way for most of that. But that's really not the purpose of this video anyway. It's just, I just want to show you that changing the gears like that didn't go in. Slightly turning the chuck, went right in. Let's turn to T. It's not meshing. Mesh just fine then, and that actually has detent, so I can hear on the inside there clicking. There's a detent. Okay, that's good, I like that. I wish these had audible detents, audible click, but they don't. Neutral disengages the lead screw. I assume N means neutral. It would be if I made it, but who knows. Back in on the lead screw there. But these are, the point of this is they're super easy to change. I wanted to point out an aggravation that I've had already. I've threaded some plastic rod, and as far as the quick change tool post has been great. It has, it seems true, and the holders go in really nice. If you wanted to upgrade to an Aloris, that would probably be a good idea. Loosening this to turn this, whatever you want to call it, the turret maybe, I don't know. But if you loosen this, and it could be because I still have some of the old Cosmoline beneath this, it made tightening this back down a little bit difficult and holding it true. For instance, I wanted to keep the cutter head true to the face of the chuck. Tightening this back down made it a little bit difficult. It wanted to walk. So, and that could be just an issue of cleaning it and getting getting everything perfectly clean and with the proper oil. Backlash always seems to be a topic of debate, and I understand you don't want it, but you're going to have it most likely with these cross slides, carriage feeds, compound slides, or top slides. How much is acceptable? I don't know. You're going to have to ask someone that knows more about it than I do. Each graduation on my cross slide is 2/1000ths of an inch. My backlash is 2, 4, 6/1000ths of an inch. 2, 4, 6 on the top slide, and then or the cross slide rather. And this is going to be a little bit. Let me do this. Let me blow this up here. See if I can make this a bit more. Whoa, that was wild. Sorry. Okay, so backlash on the carriage. Each graduation is 5/1000ths of an inch. So backlash would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25/1000ths of an inch. That's the backlash on the carriage. Let's look at the compound, or the top slide. I'm having a hard time getting an aerial view of the compound or the top slide, but you'll be able to see the kind of the mark here, and obviously it's not moving. This is a backlash. Each graduation is 1/1000th of an inch, and for me, looking at the top of it, it's 3.5 backlash. Now keep in mind, these have backlash adjustments. So, bump the tripod. Each one has backlash adjustments, but I understand that if you try to get them too tight, you're going to make them hard to turn. And what a lot of people do when they want to creep up on something, for instance, if they're trying to return to 0, well, if you go past and you have to back up, well, go do it again and then go up to 0 that way. Then you're against the screw and you can't move. That makes sense. Now for this little section of the video, I'm just going to simply kind of go through some things. I'm going to show you some different speeds. It's going to go quick. Like I said, this is just about the lathe. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just going to kind of show you some of the workings of it. And the experienced machinist, if they see this video, they can pick up on things that they may or may not like. For me, so far, I think the tolerances are fine for anything that I'm going to do, just a home shop. I love the interchangeable oil it's a sealed gearbox, so it actually changed the oil in this. Change the oil in the headstock on most lathes, but this one has a sealed gearbox in the bottom. don't confuse it with the end gears. That's a whole different thing for threading and feed rate operations. But it's really nice. I actually got a little bit too much oil in this, so I'm going to have to drain some of that out. But let's turn it on. I'm going to show you the thread dial, how easy it is to engage everything. I actually haven't engaged this carriage yet. So right now the end gears are set up. I'm going to set it back up for the feed rate for 18 threads per inch, and I'm just going to put it on the low speed and show you the feed rate at a safe speed. Okay, so it's going to get kind of loud. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking. If you notice, I've taken off my long sleeve shirt. I watched a YouTube video of a guy running a lathe with a hoodie and strings as they were kind of swinging and getting close to the chuck. Okay, so setting up for B2, which is 360 RPMs, I noticed that the selector lever for 2 is just above center. So I wish there was more of a consistency with the arrows versus where the letters are in Roman numerals. This lathe has a protection in place. I know from experience, and I'm ashamed to admit that I have reversed this accidentally while it was spinning. And the chuck will continue to spin in the same direction even if you reverse it before, I guess, before some solenoid or something kicks out, which is amazing, and I'm sure glad it has it. So I'm very careful now when I engage this and disengage this to make sure your chuck stops before you reverse it. Okay, I'm going to do the top slide, and it seems pretty smooth. It looks like there's some paint in this part that comes out to engage it, and I assume with oil and time, and there is a ball holder on top of it, and I've been trying to lubricate it, of course, if anything doesn't mesh, all you have to do is rotate it anytime to get your feed rate. So make sure that that your half nut is disengaged, and then now we do the cross slide. It's pretty straightforward. With the half nut disengaged, make sure that your half nut is disengaged before you ever activate the carriage slide. Alright, I'll show you some half nut operations. Obviously, you want to make sure that this is in the middle. We're not going to cross slide, or we're not going to carriage feed. We'll just do the half nut, essentially accomplishing the same thing. This is what you would use for threading. We're just pretending that we're threading. I have the thread gauge actually not meshed up with the lead screw, but I'll show you half nut engagement now. And I need to make sure that I'm not going to go too fast here with this spindle speed. Oh, if you notice, I have left the feed rate in end position, so I can't even engage the lead screw. Let's change that. Being very careful now to make sure that I'm at a safe feed. I don't want to be close to the end or the headstock. I don't want to be close to anything, just because I just picked an arbitrary number on the feed rate. Like I said, once you learn your lathe, this won't be a big of an issue. You'll set everything and you'll kind of know how everything works. But let's just check this out. Make sure that that's in the middle position. See, that's hunking it pretty good. Let's go the other direction. And I'm sure you're probably not even supposed to engage a half nut at this speed, but who knows? Let's try the other direction. So, as you can probably tell, the half nut engagement is real smooth. You know, it's a new lathe, it's well oiled. There's no slop that's really, you know, other than just the handle play of the backlash on that. I don't even think that would be considered part of it in this situation. Nice positive detents on the half nut engagement. All right, let's look at a threading operation real quick. I have to wait for a 1 or a 3 to come in contact with this. Slight pressure down on this, you don't have to force it. But when this comes around, then the carriage will begin to move in a threading operation. Just like that. That'll cut 18 threads per inch. Disengage and wait for the 3. Of course, you could wait for the 1, obviously, 1 or a 3. And this is just showing you how, this is not teaching threading. Don't remember, this is not a tutorial, this is just showing you the lathe and how easy it is to move this stuff. 3, there. Nice, smooth, positive detent. I like that. Something I thought pretty interesting. There is no perceivable backlash on the tailstock. No perceivable backslash. Graduations are each notch is 1,000th. I want to talk briefly about what it took to get this bolted to the floor and get the lathe shimmed up. And I got this thing stupid level. I got it within 1.5 thousandths of an inch. And I know that by a sterret, a very nice sterret level. So with the graduations set at, I think the graduations were 5 thousandths per foot, but I used feeler gauges, and with my eye, that's the best I could tell. It was just almost dead level. So really lucky. Or it took a long time too. But of course, set the bases, the proper height apart, the proper distance apart, and set the pan on it. And I just marked with just nothing special, just a short pencil under here, and drilled out with a Bosch hammer drill. I think it was 3/8. No, it was a half inch holes in my concrete floor. It was kind of nerve-wracking. Drilled them out, cleaned them out, drove strike anchors in to fit, and then just bolted the base down. And I measured and remeasured and measured again. And when I finally used my tractor and lifted it appropriately, make sure you don't get in the way of your lead screws. You have to be behind them with your straps. I lifted it and I got it over here, set it on top, and my father helped me. And with just pressure on the tractor, just a little bit of upward pressure, we were able to find all 6 bolt holes, and that was a huge relief because, you know, when you're drilling into concrete, the bits can walk, and it could be a little bit stressful. But maybe I got lucky, but maybe it was just a continuous marking. And so I left room to get behind it. Obviously, I have work to do. I'm still finishing the shop. But bolting this down to the top, I just kind of I'd use a block of wood and kind of just adjusted the bases while they were loose. There's a little bit of play in the holes. And then with slight upward pressure on the lathe, we were able to move it by hand. And of course, it's still touching the base, everything's still touching, but you're able to just kind of just move it around. It made it nice. Bolted it down with the supplied washers, and the only thing I had to do was I was low back left corner had to be shimmed up, and I used some shims I purchased on eBay to shim it up, and I got far more level than I expected. Your lathe doesn't have to be level, otherwise you couldn't put it on a boat. Your ways just have to be straight. Otherwise you could cut a taper or torque your ways over time. And there are books on that and better YouTube tutorials about why. But if you would imagine the same plane, the front way and the rear way are on the same plane, and that's what you want. It may be your lathe can be downhill, but that is neither here nor there. It is difficult. You need a tractor. You can't lift this with people. I don't think you'd have enough friends. I don't. But it weighs about 1,000 pounds. With the stand weighs close to 300, I think. So altogether, I think the shipping weight was 1,200 with the crate, 1,300 with the crate. Yeah. All right, so I'm sure I left something out. If there's anything that anybody wants to see, if you're a professional or you're a novice, just let me know. Send me a comment, and I'll do my best to figure that out with the gauges and the resources that I have currently. I'm still learning how to grind tools. That's probably going to be trial and error for a while. I'm going to have to get some just pre-shaped carbide bits, but I kind of don't want to do that either. They're high, and I would expect to break those too. But so anyway, just let me know if there's anything you would like to see. I could have showed you the end gears. Not a lot to see there. It's where the power goes in. It's the V-belts, and there's change gears in there. And you just have to move some sliding levers around and drop gears out, pull the gears off, put them back on, and they're a different shape, different number, same shape, different tooth count to give you the different feed rates. But so far, man, I'm stoked about this. I think it's going to be fantastic. LED work light. That's cool. Yeah, it comes with a 4-jaw independent jaw chuck, really nice, and a 10-inch faceplate. So I don't know what else to say. The bases are nice. They're heavy. I think I don't know if I said the base weighs about 300 and some odd pounds. Nice backsplash. When I did the test run, I want to mention this: the test run. You just do some simple. It tells you in the book what to do: forwards and back, low gear, low speed. Complete that. Then you have to do the break-in. And the braking consists of going through all the speeds. The first low speed is 10 minutes in one direction, 10 minutes in reverse, and then 5 minutes each speed, forward and reverse until you're finished, and then change the oil. Now, I'm not telling you that I used Grizzly oil, the super expensive Grizzly oil, and I'm also not telling you that I didn't. Do your research, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Having said that, you probably need a gear pulley for your change gears. I had to use a wedge and tapered wedges like you would shim a door with and drive them in opposite directions. I'd use 4 of them. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So check those out and maybe get you a gear pulley to help you do the in gear work. You'll have to have it. You'll be doing that a lot. But when I changed the oil in the headstock and in the what do they even call this part? Gearbox. When I changed the oil in the gearbox, it was nasty. So don't run your lathe with the supplied oil and just let it eat for any extended period of time. It was gray bordering on black. There was a lot of metal shavings in it, and it's necessary. So do it by the book. And I don't know how much video editing I'm going to be able to do. My Alienware Dell laptop, my ridiculously priced Alienware, didn't last like 2 years. So it's dead, and I caught myself saying gear pulley. Obviously, I meant gear puller. All right, well, I hope this wasn't too long-winded. I wanted to get some information across on this lathe, and I can't, there's some things, I just don't have the gauges, I don't have the quality stuff I need to show you some things. For instance, variations in the carriage over the length, or maybe I could have done some lead screw run out. I don't even know if that's necessary. Everything seems tight and true with the mentioned backlash. I need to do a spindle run out. Maybe I'll do that for another, or maybe I'll just check it and put it in the video if I have a way to edit it. I'm gonna have to find some kind of editing software that I can use with my phone. But I really enjoy the lathe, and I've cut some threads on some acrylic with a dull threading tool. It didn't go well. But anyway, I got the mechanics down, and it'll be a learning progress. Maybe as I get better and feel like that I can actually show you something, which may never happen, because there's so many good threading, there's so many good just lathe videos in general. There's some good videos out there. And I actually had to watch threading videos probably 20 or 30 times before I even wanted to try it. But it's not too bad. The main thing is the tool, getting it square to the work. So I don't know, like I said, just let me know if there's something else you would like to see. And I have another toy I want to show you in the next video. Thanks for watching.